Welcome back to my channel. If you remember, in a previous video, I drew a map of a city where my original story takes place, and I promised that I'd make a video on some of my characters. So here is part 1. So as a recap, my story is set in a modern fantasy world where supernatural creatures like werewolves, vampires, fairies exist alongside humans. It takes place in a city called Wildren that is mostly populated by the supernatural. And today I'm drawing 2 of my main 6 characters, and it's a werewolf and a tiefling. The werewolf that I'm working on first is named Nico U, Nico being short for Dominic. I chose Yu as his last name because it sounds close to the Chinese word for moon, because he's a werewolf. For my story, I decided to change some of the origins of the supernatural creatures to fit in with the world building and magical system I created. So each species is associated with a different god. The patron god of the werewolves is named Xian, the moon god of war, who represents truth and justice. Werewolves are the reincarnations of the most loyal canine companions of heroes and warriors of the past. And because of the moon's power to reveal the truth, they can transform into wolves, like revealing their true selves. So Nico's wolf form is basically a really big white wolf. I chose not to draw that here because eventually I'm going to put them into a character lineup, so I'm only focusing on the human forms of these characters. So just imagine a wolf with white fur that's maybe a bit bigger than what a wolf should be. Like the size of a horse or something. Or maybe, the werewolves from Twilight. So the second character here is a tiefling named Ophelia Bai. So from my understanding, tieflings originate from D&D. So I figured I could play a little more loosely with the lore. So in my canon, a tiefling is created when someone sells a soul to the god of chaos, Eris. The soul is then claimed, and the person is transformed to have a demon-like appearance and is bound to serve Eris. In the modern era of my story, of which Ophelia is born, the practice of making deals with the devil is banned because of the chaos and misfortune that tieflings generally bring. I'll also note that Ophelia is not the one who made the deal, but her soul was sold before she was even born. For her design, I wanted the horns to resemble those of Chinese dragons, and her eyes don't really have a defined pupil or iris, because if eyes are the window to the soul, then hers has obviously been sold. Some backstory on these 2. They are childhood friends, who are the only ones of the main 6 that did not originally come from Wildren. They actually grew up in a small town with a much smaller population of supernatural creatures. In a situation like that, it's expected that they weren't exactly popular among their human neighbors, so these 2 ended up becoming pretty close because of that. They eventually moved to Wildren, hoping for a more accepting community. And when they started working at the Club Utopia, it seems they have finally found what they were looking for. So this has been part 1 of introducing my OCs. Stay tuned for the next parts, and if you like this video, subscribe and leave a comment on what other kinds of videos you want to see. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at KaylinVerse to see more of my work. Thanks for watching. Bye.